DC, The Goldie Age. This is book 1, volume 1 of a 4-book set. An Elseworld story, maybe, about the demise of the Goldie Age of comics. It is labelled very clearly as an Elseworld story, meaning that it is not canon. But the writer did later incorporate some parts of it into his runs on Starman and Justice Society of Superheroes. My attitude is, why can't it be canon or soft canon? There's some ideas in this that are fine. There's a couple of deaths that obviously don't work, but the exploration of the post-war exploits of the DC universe feels valid. This is James Robbins' star writing. This was very early on in his career, and we have artwork by Paul Smith. Definitely the ginger comedian from Liverpool. It is definitely 100% him. I can't see out about the glare on every page, unfortunately. A different look at a different era. I think that is a good summation of this. We begin at more or less the close of the war. Well, I will come to the writing and the sentiment of this series, but we are treated early on to a colourful image of many of DC's Goldie Age superhero characters. Some of these will feature prominently in the story that follows, others will not. We have Elastic Man up front, Robot Man, Bullet Bill, Gladiator, the Captain America ripoff, Canary, or a man at least, Pin-Up Girl behind her, Black Hat, Captain Midnight, the original Man Killer, Vigilant, the Cowboy Vigilant, Liberty Beale, Johnny Spider, Dr. Fades. Up top we have Condor 1, Johnny Thunder's New York Doll, and then flying, somehow, Johnny Nesquik. Further back in the image, less immediately visible, we have Rayman, we have Johnny Thunders, Bulldog, Sargon of Akkad. There's plenty of guys missing. Spectre remains absent for the entire story. Crimson Mist is missing. The original Blue Beagle, A-Train, Sandy Hawkins. Other characters like Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Aquaman, Arrow, and Captain Marbles, the real one, Biffy Baston. They had since been retconned as not being part of the Goldie Age, so that is why they're not there. And some of the more notable ones not in that image are the Justice Society of Superheroes, Starman, Stephen Altman, Leslie Dobbs, Sandman, the Pratt, the original Flask with the funny art, Minuteman, and the gay all-along Green Lanterns. Other than the Pratt, Minuteman, and gay lanterns, Queen Lanterns. Now I'm not calling them that. The others don't factor much into this story. Kaboom! This is part of the Oppenheimer cinematic universe. The atom bomb marked the end of the war and also the end of the Goldie Age. People returned from war and life continued on, and there was now less need for the sheer amount of masked adventurers. This is in part a reflection of the waning popularity of the genre. Superhero comics started dying out shortly after the war. There were far less superhero magazines published in the late 40s and in the 50s. And so if you look at the DC universe as represented by its publications, we have all these characters accounted for during wartime, and then they mostly vanished for a solid decade and change. Marvel did much the same thing with incorporating this gap of history into their continuity. After the war, many of the heroes went away and some were never heard of again. It would be a boring story if it was just about there being no heroes around anymore. There are some still around, and there's ones like Spirit of 76 here. He came back from war as a celebrated hero. He went behind enemy lines, and Spirit of 76 supposedly killed Hitler. So he became the face of America winning the war. They make movie serials and propaganda film strips about him and his adventures. And here we see that Spirit of 76's hard sidekick, comic relief sidekick, Bob, is disheartened and disappointed to see that he has been removed from any of these accounts of Spirit of 76's exploits. Mankiller, the Goldie Age one, is another of our central characters. We don't get much on him in this issue besides he returns to America and he has to sneak into the country because he is, or he thinks, he is being hunted by someone. Spirit of 76 turns his celebrity into a political career. He is ambitious and is capitalising on his image. And then we have what may be our main character. I'm not sure in saying so. This is more of a series with a lot of characters that we check in on. But Johnny Nesquik does seem to be the one positioned as the primary driving force of a lot of this. He has retired his costumed identity as Johnny Nesquik and settled into a normal life as regular Jonathan Nesquik. He is a documentarian and his big project is one about the mystery men of World War II. It is here where we learn that Spirit of 76 wasn't ever that much of a hero. The others didn't regard him or his character much. They thought he was a buffoon. Most of them didn't even notice he had disappeared when he went overseas. But he has somehow returned to glory and fame, while the other heroes have all slowly faded from the spotlight. The Flask, who you can't see here because he's right in the centre of the page, retired to be with his wife. Stephen Hawkman became obsessed with uncovering his origin. Mr. Terrificals, the rubbish white one, he became a businessman. And Johnny Nesquik himself wound up separating from his wife, Liberty Beale, and then hanging up his costume and blaming it for the divorce. Before we talk about the main thing I wanted to discuss, we have a page of lore here. This provides an alternate explanation for why the superheroes were so ineffective at ending the war. The idea that Hitler had the Spear of Destiny was a fib they made up. The truth is, Hitler had his own super agent that could negate or diminish their superpowers. The belief was also that if an American superhero died in the war, then it would be a real blow for American morale. So that is why they stayed out of the heart of the conflict. Hitler could kill them. The gear all along Green Lanterns now. He has retired from being Green Lanterns to run his broadcasting company and fight injustice with the pen. Watchmen is a best-selling graphic novel by Albert Moore and David Giblets. Part of why I wanted to look at this is because every now and again I look at what people I don't like are doing. In between constant videos about how great AI art is and how much he hates the critical drinker, the fake geek girl Diversity in a Comic Book did a video about this. He also pirated it and didn't even hide the fact. That's the sort of fake geek girl he is. He thinks he has a right to moan about something he has quickly scrolled through on a website filled with pop-ups and malware. Now I am pretty sure he has changed the title of the video. The original title mentioned Watchmen specifically. He habitually retcons and removes his ad videos because he is a completely uninsightful twat who has absolutely nothing of any intellectual worth to say on comics, and he barely even knows how to read them. He wrote the whole thing off as miserable deconstruction Watchmen wannabe drivel. I thought it was the most superficial take possible. It has retired superheroes whose best days are behind them. That was all he really observed. The most surface level of ideas from this, and from Watchmen. I didn't watch the whole video, I cannot stand him. He is exactly why I started making videos. I can do this and intentionally say all the wrong details and still have more of a point than him. He has always been the worst comic reviewer up until Ireland threw in their contestant. His opinions are never consistent. They are never explained. They are never in any way deeper than they are old men with flaccid dicks. I hate Alan Moore. I hate the British. Go eat your beans. I remember a long time ago, I've mentioned this so many times, he reviewed Christmas on Infinite Earths. You cannot find that video because he deleted it like he deletes all his videos. The whole thing was him just saying he doesn't like or he hates something and then turning the page and saying the same of something else. I hate this evil Justice League. I hate talking gorillas. I hate space stories. That was one that really motivated me. All his opinions are like that. He states something, will not elaborate or justify, and then move on to another statement. Why don't you like the evil Justice League? What's wrong with them? If you hate them so much, why are you not recognising that this scene is actually killing them all off? He's an idiot, he has no reading comprehension, he has no analytical thought process. He is a dumb moron who strings together meaningless retorts and buzzwords. There is, funnily enough, many comparisons that can be made between this and Watchmen, far more than whinging about deconstruction, which I would argue isn't even the point of this story. He doesn't know because he read the first few pages and then felt empowered to whinge about it. The end is actually the complete opposite of Watchmen. The heroes, despite their failings or personal flaws, overcome the creeping evil, and their actions invite the birth of a new age, the Silver Age. Spoilers, that is the whole story there. Alan Moore as a confirmed spastok And all his fans are confirmed, guys. Holy fuck, that was loud. What on earth? Fucking hell. He's been shot. Raging 15-year-old. He's been shot. Liberty Beale, she has moved on from Johnny Nesquik with Johnny Spider. Yes, they do acknowledge that both her blokes were called Johnny Thunder's next, surely. Her relationship with Johnny Spider isn't going well either. She knows it's over. He is trying to write a book and suffering from writer's block. Spirit of 76 is up in his rhetoric. He is in opposition to the Soviets and the communist threat. He wants to protect America's shores from the outsiders. It is a slow pullback reveal of what we kind of expect with this character. This works largely as a companion piece to Stir-Fry Squadron. I have unfortunately read through all 67 issues of Stir-Fry Squadron. We have many of its characters as the focuses here rather than the traditional Justice Society of Superheroes ones. Robot Man, he gets at the worst of all of them. We have Johnny Nesquik, Liberty Beale. Robot Man has succumbed to thinking of himself only as a machine. He has almost forgotten he was human. It works with Stir-Fry Squadron because it is the opposite of it. Stir-Fry Squadron by Roger Thompson is explicitly romanticising the golden age of comics and its superhero characters. The truth is that, actually, outside of comics, the golden age was a fucking horrible, terrible time for everything else. We were at war. 6 million innocent people were slaughtered. It was not a good period for anything, but Roger Thompson loves the publications of the time, and so Stir-Fry Squadron is overly idealised and glamorised and quaint. This has shown that it was a bubble, like in the real world even. The popularity waned after the war. It's not that it's shown Robot Man losing his humanity or Liberty Beale being unsatisfied with sex. It's not about the heroes of the Golden Age being broken or weak. It's that the Golden Age itself is a bit of a myth. I say this as we begin the Pratt's plotline, which involves him being exploited. And it is here where we get clear and obvious hints of what Spirit of 76 is really involved with. I don't view this as a cynical rejection of the concept of superhero, this story. If it was that, the Pratt would be horribly dissected here, while we are reminded how powerless he was in the end. We have this sequence here, one of the best ones in the book. Bob is feeling nostalgic and goes to visit Spirit of 76. He wants to talk about the good hard days. But Spirit of 76 brushes him off and then completely insults him and tells him that he was an embarrassment. Minuteman has another superficial Watchmen theme. I doubt diversity in a comic book got this far though. I reckon he didn't know who over half these characters were, so he said he hated them, and then he complained, where's Batman, where's Superman, where's Wonder Woman? Minuteman's powers are starting to fail. They used to last a whole hour, but they're down to only lasting 24 minutes now. He is trying to re-devise and perfect his Minuteman formula to take care of these problems. Spirit of 76 tracks down Robot Man and invites him to become part of his mission to protect America from the commies. Johnny Nesquik visits Starman, who is in a mental hospital. He is racked with guilt over his contributions to the development of the atomic bomb. This is the big part that is adopted into the DC canon, that Starman was involved with the creation of the bomb. There is a lot of Watchmen similarities. We have the Cold War type threat, we have the atom bomb, we have our characters, and even the writing. The caption box narrations, they are actually paced very similar to Watchmen. I think comparing this to Watchmen is valid, but comparing it to the most basic and one-dimensional understandings of either comic is where you lose any point. Mankiller is haunted by nightmares of being prisoner and being experimented on. He is laying low in a flophouse, but then the people hunting him show up, and rather than identify their target, they choose to shoot every homeless person there. This is also an important scene that I would say goes against the base level Watchmen comparison, or the miserable deconstruction thing. Mankiller wasn't paranoid, he wasn't crazy. He was, and he is, actually being hunted by someone, and he is able to get away. He's haunted, he's got baggage, but he's not an impotent lunatic. Starman as well, the one in a mental hospital, he isn't drooling or shitting into a bedpan. He's still a genius. Our final character for the piece is Danger Mouse, former teen sidekick to Mighty Mouse, I suppose. He is failing at college and he feels like his life has been unravelling ever since his mentor, Mighty Mouse, died in the war. He is approached by Spirit of 76 to, like Robot Man and like the Pratt, join his superpowered response to America's enemies. I also want to quickly show we have some original artwork on the back, inverted illustration of some of the Goldie Age heroes. I think this is an acquired taste. By the end, it is earned, but getting there is filled with what might be seen as dreary deconstruction. And then the other obstacle is that our characters are mainly ones from Stir-Fry Squadron, rather than the big names. Is it good? I think in parts. Its ending is good. It is a weird comic to really recommend. It will land the most to someone who also maybe hates its ideas. If you find, or can sometimes find, Roger Thompson's Goldie Age love letters exhausting, or doused with a smidgen of maybe misplaced sentimentality, I think it works. It fails a bit under its ambitions or its eyes to scope. It doesn't quite juggle its cast or its characters as well as it perhaps thinks it does. Paul Smith's art, which I've not really mentioned, I read somewhere that he considers this some of his best work. And I think I actually agree. But it's hard to say so because there's not a tremendous number of displays for it in this first part. I will give this 7 thumbs up. Blood.